Welcome to week 4 of Accelerator. So now let me talk about Matthew's sales system with a widower. Okay, so there was a guy called Matthew in India. This was like early stages of my career. And then Matthew was a direct salesman. He was selling coupons, $2 coupons for Pizza Hut in Bangalore. It's a city in India. And then no matter what he tried, he couldn't sell. I mean, people are not buying from him. He's so passionate and excited and everything, but nobody's buying from him. Because I tell them like so many things and explain everything, and he tells everything that he need to do. Like he follows every rule, but nobody's buying from him. And like after some time, like after doing this for a long time, nobody's buying. Literally, nobody's buying from him. So he went ahead to a store. This is direct sales, like to going to like people and asking them, hey, do you want this coupon so that you get a discount for Pizza Hut or whatever. And then Matthew went to this guy who's a widower. He's not a widower. Actually, this person left him for another man or something. And then Matthew started talking to this man. And this man started saying, oh my gosh, this woman left me and all kind of stuff. And then Matthew felt bad about the whole thing. And he listened to this guy for like 15, 20 minutes. And he couldn't even talk about his product. He just listened to this man's like pain. And at the end of it, the guy asked Matthew, hey, what are you selling? And he said, oh, this is a discount coupon for Pizza Hut. And then the guy said, give me 2. And he just bought 2 from him. And that was the first time Matthew was able to sell a product. Okay. And you are talking to Matthew, it's me, right? So this was me. And that's the moment it clicked to me that, you know what, you don't talk people into sales. You listen people into buying. That's a simple thing, but that's where it all changed. You stop talking and let them talk. 80% of the time you talk. So that is Matthew. Matthew is my baptized name. When I was young as a Catholic, this was my baptism name or whatever you call it. So the 3 powerful steps to inspire, get people to take action are simply connect, inspire, and convert. And we're going to get deep down into this. But connect, inspire, and convert. And we're going to get into each of them. So this is what I call as a new ABC of persuasion. It's the new ABC is always be caring. Always be caring. In any level of process, people are scared, people are confused, people feel uncertain, they feel insecurities. Oftentimes, our tendency is to feel that they are rejecting us. They are not rejecting you. They are rejecting themselves. They feel that they are not enough to get your service or something like that if it's a personal service. But if it's a business, they are not afraid. Once you build trust, they are afraid that it might not work for them. That's what they are afraid of. They are not like once they trust you, they trust you, right? So, but most of the time, humans are very vulnerable people, and even if they're buying something for $10 million, they're afraid of failure. They're like, oh my gosh, what if I buy this and then everybody laugh at me, right? So the new ABC persuasion is always be caring. So the first step for that is connect. And I'm going to dip deeper into that, and then inspire, and then convert. Okay. So when you connect, what happens is, when you connect, people build trust with you, right? So that's what happens, essentially. Connect is an external action. The internal action is trust. And then when you inspire people, and this is not just philosophy, I'll show you exactly how to do this. People get inspiration, right? And then when you convert people, they take action. And people don't take action, then you don't have no sales. You just talk to people and they say that, oh yeah, let me think about it. Then we are not persuading people. If they are saying, let me think about it, unless and until you get them to take an action that moves them towards taking an action, probably scheduling a follow-up call or asking them to do something. Unless they do something to move towards buying from you, then it's not sales, it's just talk, right? So with connect, you build trust. With inspiration, by trying to inspire, people get inspired and then they take action. So let's get into connect. So for connect, You just need to be a normal human being, right? Because when you're an authentic human being, and when you're able to listen to another person sincerely, which oftentimes never happens these days, you have rapport with people. You can build rapport with people, deeper rapport with people. And I'm going to tell you techniques a little bit here, but you don't need a lot of techniques. You just being a normal human being, and try to authentically appreciate this person and listen to this person, then you have rapport, right? So I just wanted to frame it correctly before I give you techniques, because the techniques that I'm going to give you, it's not for manipulating them. The techniques is to help you when you're authentic to support them. And I don't do any of this right at this point. I just talk to a human being. Whatever I told you right now, that's what I do. But if you're starting out, I could give you some techniques. So one of the simple things that you could do to build rapport is find out if they are auditory, kinesthetic, or visual, right? So right? Auditory, kinesthetic, or visual. So if they are visual, so which means that there are different ways people process information, and some people listen more, hear, right? So some people see visuals, and other people process it in their body, right? So there are three different people. So if you're talking to a visual person, then what do? You talk fast. Right? Immediately you could understand what these people are talking. I mean, this happens naturally. Like you go to a bar, a man or a woman trying to date each other or trying to connect with each other, they do this automatically. They get into this, what I call a synchrony, right? They get into synchrony because what happens is every time because they love each other deeply, or they want something from each other, or due to some reason, what happens? They talk the way the other person talks. It's like a flow, and then you could hear it. And when you hear it, you could process it. There is a rhythm to it that you could hear and process it in your head. And when you talk to an auditory person like this is how you need to talk. This is how, if you care enough for that person, you would figure out a way to talk to them. And this happens unconsciously most of the time, but I'm not telling you this as a technique. I'm asking you to use this as an authentic way to love other person. You got it? And kinesthetic. Is there anybody kinesthetic here? And kinesthetic people are feeling oriented. And I had a lot of kinesthetic in me. When I talk like really deep, I could give you a simple metaphor. Kinesthetic is a Sharon Stone on basic instinct, too much imagination here. The way she talks, it's sensual. It's like, it's deep. It's like, it is coming from the body. And all of a sudden you start to feel that sensation. They are feeling that sensation in the body, right? Kinesthetic people are like that. And when you talk to those kind of kinesthetic people, if you talk like a visual person really fast, or you start using the auditory modality, then there might not be rapport, right? So that is one way. Another thing is people conditionally might have gestures that they use. You could actually, when you are in totally love with another person, when you totally care for a customer, then you actually adapt to their gestures and postures as well, right? So you adapt to their gestures and postures. It's natural. That's how humans are. But people teach this as a technique. Again, this is not a technique. You just care for them sincerely. All the things will happen automatically, right? Use their gestures. You would not, if you're on a video call, you would use their gestures. You could match their volume. If somebody is talking really loud, you can talk really loud too, right? Hostage negotiators, like if there is a terrorist or somebody holding somebody hostage, they talk in the same pitch, same volume, same tonality. Right? So this way, you are actually subconsciously connecting with them. And when you deeply connect with people like that, then they will open up with you. And it is so fascinating that I don't do any of this at this point. Like I said, these are training wheels. When you are able to walk, then you don't need training wheels anymore. You could walk automatically. And I will do more demonstrations in the future, but I wanted to be respectful of the time. So that's how you build rapport with people, right? So modeling their being a human being and listen, right? You know what the best way to build rapport with somebody? Just freaking listen. Listen and tell them, hey, this is what you told me, right? Okay, use their own words and paraphrase to them and tell them, hey, this is what you have been telling me. Let me make sure that I understood you right. You are saying XYZ. What a beautiful way to build rapport, right? So that's how you build rapport. And we're going to do this experiments, play this experiment, get into deeper too. The second step is inspire. Inspire is typically they have some troubles, like some problem. That's why they are talking to you, right? So you ask some troubleshooting questions. The troubleshooting questions, and we are going to demonstrate this for you rather than just talking. And then you ask them some diagnostic questions. And then you ask them some implication questions. And then you ask some futuristic questions. Here is an important thing, guys. This is very powerful. If people are in like such a rapport with you, basically, you know, people will listen to you. So if you don't honestly in your heart feel at the time that they are suited for you, tell them like, you know, I don't think you should work with me. I would send you to somebody else who I could work with you. Whether it is Richard or Francis or Harish or Melvin or anybody who are product or software and whatever you are selling, or you're selling a machinery. If you feel like, or if you know, Harish's case, I know that you have many products and then you need to be giving them the best product. I know, Harish, you already do that. You need to give them, like those who are listening right now, if you're listening right now online, just give them the expert recommendation to buy the product from your heart only. Please, please don't destroy your business in the long term, right? Just by trying to make some, make some small amount of money, don't compromise your integrity. Because keep in mind, only if you're in alignment, you will be able to grow your business to multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, or 9 figures, or very few people to 10-figure businesses. But if you're not in alignment, you're not going to grow. So if you are trying to compromise, try to make some little money by being inauthentic to yourself, probably you're not going to grow much big. That's the truth, okay? So don't try to make like a couple of $1,000s or $10,000 or whatever by recommending something that is not authentically resonating in your heart. So be truthful from your heart when you're making this expert recommendation. Yeah. So that is it. And I'm going to show it from a different angle, right? So what does this mean? Right. So what you're asking them is, what do you want to avoid? You can mute yourself, Lisa. And avoid, like, what are the nightmares? What are the danger, the fear, the problem, the things that they want to be away from? What do they want to achieve, right? The vision, the want, the desire, the goal, and the implication. Like, what happens when you do that, right? What happens when you get that? What happens when you achieve that? Or what happens when you avoid that? Then you ask them, like, what is one thing that you could do? So you could even ask them, like, what is one thing that you could do to get you to this direction? Or you could simply recommend that, you know, joining a product, buying a product is the next thing that you could do to move in that direction. So I'm going to show you one more bigger picture. You would see connect in the top and the trust. So somebody came in through a marketing, like you did some marketing, like you did something on a Facebook Live. People trust you enough. I know, like, you know, dozens of people, you know, scheduled a call with you, Chris. So they trust you to get on a call. So they have some sort of trust. How do you build trust? By building rapport. So when you build rapport, how do you build rapport? By being a normal human being who listens, sincerely listen, right? And then that listening and counseling is not enough. You need to ask them. You need to have a frame of a doctor, right? Doctor, where you would be asking them, hey, you are the expert on it, you know, and be the expert on it, right? So you would ask them questions like, you know, about what is the biggest challenge right now? What's the biggest problem right now? Whether it is product or service or personal service. I'm going to walk you through this one more time. That part is the inspiration. And then what do you want to achieve? And what happens when you do that? And then what is the next thing that you could do? And they'll take action. What happens behind the scene, right? So when you're connecting, they're asking, can I trust this person, right? So the buyer is asking a question in her mind. Can I trust her? Can I trust him? So in Inspire, what happens is, does she understand my problem? That's what they care about. Like, does she understand my problem? Like, really, does she understand my problem? If you want to have a bonus thing, does she understand my problem better than I do? Oftentimes, Sharon, Chris, Ina, Richard, Bhavna, Francis, Harish, everybody else, like if you're listening online, like oftentimes you understand your customer's problem better than they do. And the moment you show them that you understand their problems better than they do, oh my gosh, the miracle happens. Because they're like, oh, this person understands my problem deeper than I myself do. And you don't need to go to that level right now if you're not ready yet. But if you're ready, go for it. And then, can she solve it with me? Can she solve it with me? So that is authority that we are trying to build typically by saying that, you know what, I know this thing, I have been doing this. It's okay. They are in the call with you. They can sense your certainty. They can sense, remember, selling is transference of emotion, of certainty, of caring, of trust. That's what you're doing. If you're sincerely selling to somebody, you are actually caring for that person. You want that person to be out of that misery, right? So she's asking, can she solve it with me, right? And then, does she understand my aspirations? Remember, we were talking about the aspiration. What do you want to do? What do I want to achieve? Oh, by the way, that Inspire formula was created, Inspire formula, that particular part of it was created by my mentor, Eben Pagan and Annie Lala. So if you guys get a chance to follow them. That is something that I got from them. So I wanted to give them credit for it. Everything else is created internally here. At least certain part of the Inspire formula was from him. So does he understand my aspiration? And then in Convert, does she have the confidence to lead me into action? Right? So you need to ask for that. Like as in my expert opinion, this is what you do. That's it. And people will, like majority of people want to be led. They'll be like, oh yeah, for sure. How much is the cost? And tell them, like, give them much more value than you're providing, like much more value than the money that they're spending. They will buy it from you, right? So price is not a big deal at that point. Whether it is, as long as you believe that your product is worth at least 10 times more value than, or more value than they are paying, then they will be happy to pay. If they are telling you your price is too much, a lot, then probably you are not believing in your product. Remember, there are 3 levels in business: innovation, marketing, and optimization. And then in that itself, like, there is connect, inspire, and convert. That's how you persuade people, right? You would connect with people, you would inspire them, you convert them, right, into customers. And then when you connect, what happens? You build trust with them. Yeah. When you inspire, they're inspired. They have inspiration to take action, and then they take action. That's it. It's that simple. Selling is just transference of your certainty, your confidence about your own product into the other person, right? So this is a formula that is created by my mentor, Eben and Annie. So avoid, nightmare, the danger, the fear, the problem, the away, achieve, the vision, the want, the desire, the goal. What are you moving towards? And act, in alignment, implementation, accountability, right? And then the big picture is connect. Every selling is happening this way, especially for thought leaders. It's slightly more advanced, right? Like, for thought leaders, if you're somebody who want to be, and if you want to be a phenomenal business leader, then you need to be the thought leader. Steve Jobs was a thought leader of his industry. Bill Gates was a thought leader in his industry, right? So it's okay to be a thought leader. You need to be a thought leader. So even if I know Melvin has a, product-based business, even if that, like, you want to step up and become the thought leader in that space so that people will start seeing your brand as you being the thought leader, right? Then we are going to talk about a small thing, right? Essentially in avoid, basically you pick a problem. And what happens if you avoid that? Like problem 2, what happens if you avoid that? It's that simple. Third, what is another problem? What happens if you avoid that? Then you talk about achieve. Hey, what do you want to do? Achieve. What do you want to achieve? What happens if you achieve it? Achieve vision 2. What happens if you achieve that? Achieve vision 3. What happens if you achieve it? Then action. What is action number 1? Action number 2? Action number 3? It's that simple. And then you're going to mention to them simply, based on what you told me, the next thing that you need to do is to join my ADHD program, join my Mastering My Psychic Abilities program, joining my Managing Your Anxiety for Your Children program, managing your Unleash Your Power program, managing your, Prosperity Cafe program, or whatever that program is. It's that simple. Humans are willing to listen. And there could be some people who are overly dramatic. You don't want overly dramatic people. Like most of the time, a lot of people don't even say an objection if you do this. Like, and sometimes they might need some more time. So give them time. We are not going to force them into submission. That's not the idea. So we are renewing the soul models in less than 5 minutes. So all the soul models that we learned, the more renewal you do, the farther you would reach in terms of understanding it deeply in your soul level. So we talked about 2000x model. 50% of your results will come from 1% of your actions. The Pentagon model of your brain. You have 5 brains in your body that are instinctively in conflict. We need to align them. Then we talked about 20% of the things in business goes the way you planned. Rest of them are your biggest teachers. So 80% of the things that you do give you the biggest education. Some people call them failures. Your self-alignment is the #1 key to creating the biggest impact in the world. One of the biggest forces in human psychology is to be consistent with how they define themselves, their own identity. You're going to see all of this going to come together today. God's plan for you is far beyond your wildest dreams. Your body is the canvas and your mind is the artwork of your identity and your shadows. Or your shadows, identity and or your shadows. What you value deep decides what you remember or forget. What you remember decides your destiny. Your past stories are irrational and accurate representations of your future. They could be curse stories or blessing stories. They could be, curse stories or blessing stories, but they accurately represent your future. You cannot manage time. You can only manage your emotions. Work only on things that you're passionate about and what you're remarkable at. Delegate everything else as soon as you have the financial stability to do that. Your mind is the worst productivity tool in the world. Your results are directly proportional to the extent of rejuvenation you have. And you might have started like taking off on Sundays or one day off, and that's helping you a lot. Marketing is strategic empathy. And you're strategically empathizing with people. People don't buy products, they buy results, benefits, and solutions. Niches are not a group of people, niches are needs. When you add massive value to your clients, selling is caring. And as you came through this training, and then when you recognize the way we learn to listen, you're listening with a lot of care. That's when people buy from you. You already recognize that in a soul level at this point. When you're aligned, business is a spiritual activity. And I believe that you sense that already. Selling is transference of emotion, specifically trust, caring, and certainty. And if I don't believe in my product, if I don't have enough self-image related to my product, then there is no transference of trust or caring or certainty, because I'm not certain about my product. So the first thing is have certainty about your product. And you might have written like 51 reasons why your product is amazing. If you haven't done already, just go ahead and write it. Write 51 reasons why your product is incredible. So you have trust in yourself, you care for yourself, and you have enough certainty so you could transfer it to other people. Human mind works in paradoxical drives. And this is the area which we would be dive into a little bit later. And I know this was not brought home completely yet, but we would bring that home. Giving selflessly is the most selfish thing to do. The best way to get anything is to give. That would make sense. Soul number 22, when you live a purposeful life, everything automatically falls into place. Right. Now, let's do the content renewal. What have you learned so far? Like we need to do level 5 learning. It needs to everything needs to be understood in a soul level. Super adapters are going to take their the business to the next level. No matter what happens, we adapt. We are ready to adapt. We are anticipating change. We are not waiting for change to happen. We are anticipating change and pre-adapting to that. Think about the word pre-adapting. Super adapters are pre-adapters. Acclimation. Whenever there is a challenge and whenever you move to the next level, you are acclimating to the next level internally right? So for example, you are acclimated to alignment. You're acclimated to accelerating your business. You're acclimated to making more income. If you have been making, $10,000 a month, and if you start making $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month, or significantly more than that, then you get acclimated to that, so that you feel like, okay, this is where I belong. Alignment is alignment. We talked about the Pentagon brain, and we said that mind is a process that controls the flow of information and energy, right? And if that's the case, then this information is processed in like several different directions, right? But when you are in alignment, most of them will be in one direction. That's when your Ferrari can go on the highest speed, right? And that's what the human experience. Then we said the body is a canvas of the soul or your mind, right? So if you're able to expand your body consciously, then you have the potential to expand your business, expand your life to the next level. Mind is a painting. And we talked about the curse story, the blessing story. You could convert a curse story into a blessing story. Then we talked about soul values and recipes for soul values, and shadow values and the recipes for each of them. For soul value, the goal is for us to have simple recipes so that we could feel the emotion that we want to feel. And for shadow values, our goal is to make it really complex. And at this point, for you, it might be like, oh, okay, this is theoretical. Show me, how could I really implement this in my life, right? And I'm going to show you today. And we went into acceleration. We talked about no income activities, low income activities, high income activities, highest income activities. But on a higher level, income, passion, impact, and proficiency, all of them come together, then you would be working on the highest leverage activities. And that's when this triangle pyramid on the top is the one that you will be working on or spending your time on, investing your thinking on, so that your life is so much more easier than like using the red piece and the yellow piece and the green piece. And if you're in green, that's perfectly good too. You could start at green and then move towards the purple. And we talked about 5X model. 20% of your actions will give you 80% results. 1% of your action give you 50% of your results. Then we talked about 3 steps to doubling your productivity. Capture it, get it out of your head. Mind is not a tool, the best tool to manage productivity. Clarify, have a system to clarify what you learn or what you processed, and then complete it. Like use flow times to complete it. Right? And when you have alignment, acceleration, amplification, and acclimation, then you transform yourself and your business. And then we talked about, the Pentagon model of your brain, the feeler, the lover, the reptile, the mammal, the thinker. These are 5 levels of human thinking. And then the misalignment. And then we talked about innovation, marketing, and optimization are the most important things in business. And those are the things that you need to be focusing on. These are the 3 pillars of business. And then we looked into your radar chart. What are you strong? What are you not very strong? Clarifying, what do we need to focus on right now? Right? And we spend a lot of time on learning how to care enough so that you could sell. We would be spending more time on marketing so that you understand the marketing and selling process. Once you do, you have the potential to grow your business to any level you want. Then we talked about the customer avatar. You drew a customer avatar for yourself. Then you created your customer attraction protocol. What would the customer say yes to? Share your most vulnerable story. Share your biggest success. Share your customer's biggest success. Then get them to call to action. Then we talked about the new ABC of persuasion, the connect, the inspire, and the convert. The connect, inspire, and convert. When you connect, trust is built. When you inspire, inspiration is generated. A fire is lighted in their heart. Right? Inspiration is breathing fire into another person. And when you convert, they take action, right? And then we ask them what to avoid, nightmare, danger, problems, away from. What are they trying to move away from? And then achieve, vision, want, desire, goal, and then ask them to act. Then we would tell them, hey, based on what you told me, if you think that is the right thing to say, then the next step is to join, do this thing with me. And there could be slight variations based on what type of company you are. But the whole picture for the new ABC of persuasion is connect, inspiration, and convert. And then in connect, trust will come. The avoid and achieve will be in inspiration. The act will come in the convert, right? And and human drive framework, certainty, significance, love, variety, creativity, structure, growth, contribution, and enlightenment. This is what humans are looking for. And we would get deeper into this. But one thing is, when your customer is, when we do an example, you could see that, pay attention. What are their primary drives? What are they driven by? Everybody has one or two primary drives. And if they need certainty, when you are influencing them, they need certainty. If they need creativity, they need creativity. Like, show them that they will get creativity by working with you, right? So understand their drive and get them to take action. I will get more deep into that too, right? Certainty, variety, significance, connection, creativity, structure, growth. And we talked about three-dimensional learning. Learn to understand and implement, learn to accelerate your business, learn to make sense of the world, learn for self-awareness, and learn to learn. Those are the 5 levels of learning that we are having. Not the 5 levels of learning, but 5 levels that I would like you to be thinking about. Like, what can I understand and implement in this? How can I accelerate my business with this, right? How can I make sense of the world based on what we are learning here? How can I be self-aware? Consciously self-aware about me, and how can I learn to learn using this? Now let's review our super habits, right? Power ceremony. Like, remember what power ceremony is? Let's have a status check, right? One thing that is important is, today we are going to move us to a completely different level, and all of us. And because we are moving to a different level, it's all the more important for us to start doing the power ceremony starting today, if we missed it. And if you did it already, great. If you're doing it already, if you're listening it on video and you're doing it already, great. And if you have a challenge, if you missed a couple of times, my goal is not to guilt you into doing it. My goal is to inspire you into doing it. The reason is, today we are going to open a different level of portal for your own, for you to jump in and get in. And when you get into that portal, like those kind of, like this, what we are doing today doesn't happen often. And you will understand what I mean by that. And because of that, if you don't take action from that, you would go to another plane of existence and still be not taking action. That's why I want you to be very conscious about committing to do power ceremony for the next 30 days. So who's up with me? Who's up for doing power ceremony for the next 30 days? Yeah. Raise your hands. Yes.
Yeah.
Rich. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. This is really important, because you're going to understand what I mean by that in a second. Because today, when I sent this email, I said, you get 10 years of personal development in 3 hours. And you will understand what I mean by that in a few minutes. Okay. 10 years or more of personal development in 3 hours. And what we are doing today is based on the work that I have done for like multiple very successful business people, growing a company from $50 million, a business owner, to grow to more than $100 million. Another person, like helping Misty to move from $8.5 million to $24 million, helping a person who was like completely lost because of so many things happen. I told you story for Ivy. She was in Jamaica and she was raped by 4 men, and then she was like complete chaos when she came to me, and she grew her business to multiple $1 million in very short time. And then so many more, like, a lot of things that I worked with those people. And even, I didn't even teach them everything that I'm going to do today. That's the fascinating thing. They got fragments of this because I was getting like more and more clarity on what I'm doing. But today, like, you're getting the complete all the pieces of what is going on. And that's why I said today, this session is the most important session in this entire program. Okay. And this is my life's work in like 2.5 hours. Right? It's 24 years of studying like 2,000 to 3,000 books, reading everything, thinking, and then downloading stuff from universe, in a sense, getting so many ideas all collected together. It's going to be implemented. The only reason why we are able to do it in 3 hours is because you already know the background. Okay, so flow time. Who's doing flow time? Uninterrupted time, which is a second habit. Time that you work on highest level actions. So yes. Yep. Okay. Yep. Who else is doing flow time? James. Yep. Yeah, a little bit. Chris, Richard, a little bit. Who else? Okay, great. Okay, thank you. And then, so they are either intelligent actions or inspired actions. What are intelligent actions? Highest money and highest has money, and inspired actions are the highest impact. If you have an action that has intelligence and inspiration, then those are the best thing to be working on. So it's time to improve flow time. So we're going to spend some time, because we started this concept of flow time like 2 weeks ago, and it's time for us to refresh and renew. See, what we are doing here is not theory. Like, I mean, my goal is for us to build these habits. By the time you finish this accelerator experience, I would like you to have like 3 powerful habits that will take your business to the next level, right? And that's what we are looking for here. So let's spend 5 minutes. So the 5 minutes starts now. Improve your flow time, right? So I might have an example here. Like, for example, remember the question is marketing or innovation or optimization? What is most important thing in your business? Like most challenging right now? The thing that you need to invest most time on. If you don't know, the answer is marketing. So what is one thing on the edge of your comfort zone that is in marketing? What is your warm-up protocol? What do you do so that you are ready for work? When is it? For me, it is like every day morning. Like as soon as I finish my power ceremony, this is what I do. 7:30 to 9:30, sometimes 7:30 to 11:30. But for me, I'm taking like 4 hours sometimes or 5 hours, but I don't take straight 5 hours. I spend 2 hours, take a break, sometimes 1 hour, take a break, and another 1 hour, take a break, another 1 hour, take a break, and then that's it. Afternoon, I don't typically work on flow times, right? So for me, that's in the morning. Is it morning or afternoon? If it's morning, what time is it? Exactly what time, right? And how long are you spending? And I don't recommend you spend more than 2 hours on flow times at this point so that you get started. But if you can, that's awesome. But let's design that right now. And how do you get to single tasking? Like, how do you focus on single tasking? And how long is your renewal? Remember, the extent to which you can renew is the extent to which you could produce. So how long is your renewal? So if you haven't designed it already, let's design it now. If you haven't designed it already, why haven't you designed yet? But it's okay, I forgive you. But if you have designed it already, optimize it. How to make this flow time better? What is the one thing that you have challenge on? And what is at the edge of your comfort zone? Don't try to do the comfortable thing. Like, what is the edge and the edge of your comfort zone? You could do a power move. If you want to use a power move as a warm-up protocol, you could do that. Or you could do soul breathing if that center you. So when you read this book called, Think and Grow Rich, or any personal development for the first time, you're like excited. You're like salivating. Oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And then this is like me going to first time personal development teachers, seminar. All of a sudden, first time I went, like, oh my gosh, this was the best thing ever. But what happens the second time you go, the third time you do this, third time you read a book, law of familiarity kicks in. Why does law of familiarity kicks in? What is law of familiarity? Like, like you are, when you married or, when you are dating a person, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I'm so much in love with you. And then like 2 weeks later, 2 months later, 6 months later, 10 years later, you're fighting like which way to put toilet paper on, right? Like every silly thing you will be, potentially people are fighting with each other. Why? Because it's a law of familiarity. The person that you spend a lot of time with, including you start to feel like, that's no big deal. It becomes normal, right? And that's what happens to personal development too. So specifically, your shadows, your core stories, and your shadow values are getting personal development with you. Process that for a second if you haven't thought about it before. Your shadows, your core stories, and your shadow values are getting personal development with you. So if you learn how to manage your state of mind in a way, the first time you start doing a power move, you might be able to manage state of mind. After some time, like for me, this is like I face this in my life, deeply in my life, right? So when I do power move or nothing changes my state of mind, I'm like, what the heck has happened to me? Who have I become? Like nothing is working for me. The reason is, if you felt like that, it is because your shadows, your core stories, and your shadow values are getting personal development with you. That's why, like, that's when this thing happened, right? And this is why, and we started with this alignment piece in this training. And this is a business training. It's completely focused on business. But in reality, in order for your business to go to the next level, your alignment is the biggest tool in your business, right? And that's when you start moving naturally, right? Another word for alignment is integration, right? Integration is the biggest word here, right? We have done a lot of fragmented things in life that can be integrated to create a collage of who we are. There are so many things that we did, like when we were 13 or 14, or maybe, I mean, I try to mention teenage years because like 13 to like 14 to 19, you felt that you could conquer the world. When you're an infant, probably you didn't think that way. I don't know. But the point is, you start to feel that energy too. And think about like Mark Zuckerberg or like Bill Gates, who started a company at the age of 18 because they were fearless in some element. They got that window of opportunity where they were fearless. They started this company fearlessly. Elon Musk, similar thing, right? And then it became $1 billion company just like that. You might not have a goal to grow a $1 billion company, but there are some people in our tribe who are interested in building a multi-billion dollar company. For those who want to do that, this is a thing, right? There is a window of opportunity that you had where you are fearless for a moment. Probably you didn't take an action. That window is reopening today, right? And so that you could dream big and take action using the strategies that we're doing today. So you had like this fragmented experiences all over the place. Now we move into like create an Apple, right? That's what, Steve Jobs did. Like he was working the age of 14, 15, trying to create something called a blue box. I might have shared this story about blue box some other time, but that gave him a metaphor that I could influence $1 billion company. And that belief started building and connected it together to come up with Apple. Or you could become the butterfly, like, if you're staying as a caterpillar and then you move on to become this butterfly. Or you could become the complete woman, the man, the human being, the business, the personal, the beauty of the butterfly, the beauty of the human, and the beauty of the business that you want to create, right? But I'll be covering that briefly to keep everybody in the loop. We will be going through all of those brief details, as we are doing this together. So today's question is, how can I create 10 years of personal development in 3 hours? Right now we have only like 2 hours and 10 minutes. How can I use this to grow? Use this growth, internal growth, to create more fulfillment in my life. Right? Probably write this question down too, so that's this way you could feel it. At least write it in your mind. How will I use this acceleration to exponentially grow my business to the next level? So process these questions, because your brain, the questions that you have will set the context of what you're learning. And that context will decide what you're going to get from today's experience. So process this, go through this question one more time. How can I use this acceleration to exponentially grow my business? Shadows. So what are shadows? The shadows, for me, the definition of shadows are the 5 words that you never ever want to be described by, right? So example, hypocrite, liar, hater, arrogant, selfish. More detail, if you haven't listened to week number 1 training for week number 1 or week number 2, you haven't reached like enough to do this with me. So if you're listening in a video, go ahead and go back and listen to week number 1 and week number 2. And listen to it sequentially so that you don't miss out the point, right? So at this point, people in my studio audience, and for you, you must have written down your shadow values by now, right? And then then we asked, like on week number 1, we asked, who are the 3 people whom you hate the most from your life, history or anywhere, right? Write their name down with a lot of space below each of them, right? So and you wrote it down. I am assuming at this point you have that written, and then you look for similarities with your shadows and the words that you use to describe the people that you hate, right? For example, my shadows were hypocrite, liar, hater, arrogant, selfish. For example, if those were mine, then for Hitler, hypocrite, apathetic, hater. So all of a sudden, there is a similarity. We call them super shadows. These are the shadows that are deep inside of you. Those have a lot of consistency and emotional intensity for them. So pick the super shadows, pick them, and pick the prime super shadow, which means if you have more than 1 super shadows, there is one of them that is giving you maximum emotional intensity. So pick that right now. Who could be a best role model for this particular thing? The funniest thing, which this I have observed time and again, working with numerous people, for this particular thing that you have written down right now, you probably don't have a role model. Okay, so you found that the shadow value, the shadow that you had, not shadow value, and find the opposite, and then you found a role model for this, and then you're creating an identity, leveraging this role model. Yeah. Now I would like you to sit in. I would like you to take you to a theater, one of your favorite theater that you have been to. Go to this theater and sit down and imagine that you did this thing. Like you are sitting as in the audience and then you're watching it. First thing that you did to show that you have this value. You're trying to prove to your mind that you already have this so that your mind doesn't need to fight you on this anymore. We're showing you already have what the mind was resisting, the opposite of what the mind was resisting. So you have the authenticity, you have the integrity. So for integrity, see the second experience, see the third experience. And then you say, I am, in James's case, I am the Lionel of integrity. In Chris's case, you would say, I am the Lorraine of confidence. Make sense? In your case, pick your role model and say, I am this of this value, of this identity. And that becomes your identity. I am this person of this identity. Yeah? And then you add one more thing and say, I am, put your name here. In this case, I am the Ruble of absolute confidence. So for example, James, in your case, you would say that I am the Lionel of integrity. And you would say, I am the James of absolute integrity. So now for you, you're bringing the superlative. So this way your mind can process it and see that, oh my gosh, I am the real deal. Lionel is good, but I am the real deal. Okay, let's do it with me. In your mind, you could say it with me, but I am the Lionel of integrity. In your case, replace it with your role model. And then I am my name of absolute, my identity. I am your role model name of the new identity. I am your name of absolute, your new identity. One more time. I am the role model of the new identity. I am your name of absolute, the new identity. One more final time. I am the role model of the new identity. I am your name of absolute, the new identity. Okay, let's watch it again. Because now it's getting clearer and clearer to your mind that, you know what, you are this. This is what we have been fighting, right? For a long time. Because your mind thought you don't have that. That's why it had to push the shadows away. That's why it was working on the shadow. Now you don't need to push the shadow anymore because you already are this. So you don't need to fight it. Instead, you could just love the shadows into submission. Abhay was asking you this question. Do you need to hate or push away the shadows? No, you don't need to. You just love shadows into submission because they don't need to exist anymore. Keep in mind, your identity is what you remember about yourself, what you believe about yourself. Even if the things that you say or so are not true, and even if you don't have a great experience on the opposite, just imagine an experience, because memory is nothing but what you remember, right? So if you keep remembering something, after some time, it becomes a memory. You could actually literally create memory the way you want from thin air without having any experience. But the words that you use to describe yourself become your identity, right? So that being said, that's when you become aligned. Like this is the alignment that I was talking about. This is alignment that we are talking about. Once you reach this point, question, we came up with a declaration before. Do we integrate this new identity declaration into that? That is exactly correct, Ina. Thank you for that. So you came up with a declaration before. you would use that declaration. That's when you become this Ferrari that could go at a very high speed, right? Okay, so I'll talk to you guys later. Love you guys. Bye.